There was a time in my life when things felt scattered. My time felt scattered. My thoughts felt scattered. Even my goals felt scattered. And I realized something important. Rebuilding your life doesn't start with motivation. It starts with discipline. Not harsh discipline, but intentional discipline. The kind that creates structure, clarity, and eventually freedom. Today I want to share how discipline slowly helped me start rebuilding my life, especially as a working mother who is homeschooling and building a future at the same time. One of the first things I changed was my mornings. I now wake up at 5:20 every morning. Not because I love waking up early, but because I needed space before the world started demanding my attention. That time in the morning belongs to my foundation. I intentionally plan my day. I reflect. I pray. I write. But most importantly, I decide how the day will be used before it begins. Because if you don't plan your time, something else will plan it for you. I started being intentional with every pocket of time I had, including my lunch break. Instead of letting that time disappear scrolling or rushing, I started using it intentionally. Sometimes I plan, sometimes I review my goals, sometimes I simply sit quietly and reset my mind, or I record as I'm doing now. And when I get home from work, I already know what my time will be used on. Not every minute is rigid, but it is intentional. Because rebuilding your life requires protecting your time. Another thing discipline requires is boundaries. Boundaries with my time, boundaries with my finances, boundaries with my schedule. I had to learn to honor the commitments I made to myself. If I plan something important, I treat it as seriously as I would a commitment to someone else. Because if we constantly break promises to ourselves, we slowly lose trust in ourselves. Discipline rebuilds that trust. One of the hardest areas of discipline was my thinking. Our thoughts can either support our future or sabotage it. So I began practicing something very intentional. Whenever a negative thought appeared, I would take it captive and replace it. So instead of thinking, I'm behind, like we tend to think that, I replaced it. I am building my life intentionally. Instead of thinking this is too much, I replaced it with, I'm learning to carry responsibility with wisdom. Instead of, I can't do this, I replaced it with, I will learn how to do this. This kind of discipline changes your internal environment. And your internal environment shapes your future. Discipline is also how I began honoring my body. Self-care isn't indulgence. It is stewardship. That meant making sure I rested when needed, taking care of my health, creating moments of quiet. Because you cannot pour into your children, your work, or your purpose if you are constantly depleted. Another important part of rebuilding my life was intentional planning. Every week I sit down and I review my schedule. What needs my attention? What needs adjustment? Where do I need to protect my time? And at the beginning of this year, I also planned my entire year in advance. Every month, I review my finances intentionally, not with fear, but with responsibility. Because discipline with money creates stability, and stability creates peace. This first quarter has been about foundation. Not rushing, not doing everything, but building the structure that will support the rest of the year. Because freedom doesn't come from avoiding discipline. Freedom is the result of discipline. When your time is organized, when your thoughts are aligned, when your finances are intentional, life becomes lighter. Rebuilding your life doesn't require perfection. It requires small, consistent acts of discipline. Choosing your thoughts, protecting your time, honoring your commitments. And slowly, those choices build into something powerful. They build freedom. If you're also in a season of rebuilding your life intentionally, subscribe to the channel. This space is for women who are building foundations in their homes, their faith, their work, and their future. Live your season.